Hi, Kieren. How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Good. I wanted to do this podcast today because I'm dealing with a lot of first-time investors at the moment. And obviously, we've known each other for a couple of years now. You bought a property from me and then obviously properties after that. And I've sold some stuff for you too. And I just thought it would be really, really handy for not only seasoned investors out there, but you know, these guys that are just sort of stepping into the property market to get a little bit of insight as to why why you see value in property investment, what your initial plan looked like, you and Mackenzie, in terms of what you were looking to achieve, you know, what was the goal, and kind of how you went about that and where you are in your journey today. So first off, we met at 36 Monmouth Street.
Yes.
Which is a little two-bed apartment there in a 1960s small block. And that was obviously so was that your very first investment or?
Second.
Second, okay.
Yeah.
So just talk me through the conversation initially with, you know, Mackenzie and you in terms of what your property journey you wanted it to look like and you know, how that all sort of materialised.
So I think the first question that you asked about, you know, why did we choose property?
Yeah.
I think for me, when we were kind of deciding what path we want to go down with in, you know, trying to build wealth, and I always liked the fact that real estate was real.
Yeah.
That it was tangible. I could see it. I could feel it. I could, you know, walk inside. I could meet the tenant.
Yeah.
And opposed to stocks and shares where I can't see that.
Yeah.
And I've always been a visual person.
You very much are, yeah.
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 So yeah, I think for me that was what initially drew me to it.
Yeah.
And then of course, for me, I'm going to be biased, you know, towards property now, obviously.
Yeah.
But when I was, you know, comparing between property and stocks, to me, real estate can never be replaced.
Yeah.
So no matter what happens with the economy or AI or, you know, things evolving the way that they are with, you know, technology and companies, people are always going to need somewhere to live.
Yeah.
Where what we kind of saw in COVID, that, you know, companies that people were investing in that were deemed to be a safe bet, you know, weren't anymore.
Absolutely.
You know, and people have been investing in, you know, real estate and buildings since the Roman Empire,
Yeah.
the Egyptians, you know, there's a legacy there with that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what caught my eye to going down that path, you know, opposed to Bitcoin or stocks or shares or anything like that. And then, yeah, I started out working as a PT. Mackenzie was working at Bunnings while she was studying. So we've had very humble beginnings.
Yeah.
You know, we were not on a massive income back then.
Yeah. And you know, and I think it's important to point that out because there will be a lot of young people out there that are looking to get their first investment, get on that property ladder, and then feeling very, you know, negative about how do we even start?
Yeah.
You know, what does that look like? And I get that a lot as a property investor myself, and me starting out in real estate 27 years ago, I would be surrounded by these people that owned multiple properties, and I couldn't get my head round. Well, they must have had a load of money in the bank to do it. You know, like how did they even make that first initial step? Or were they lucky and just got a really good first one that then catapulted them with equity to do the next ones? And I think it's really important for people to know that it's actually not as hard as what you may think.
Yes.
You know?
Yep. I totally agree. I mean, I've got a lot of clients now that I say to them, now that we are buying, you know, their second, third or fourth property, that everybody, I think, has an affinity to buy a property.
Yeah.
And they want to, build a portfolio of something.
Yeah.
But they just don't really know where to start or where to begin. So I definitely think, but I think it does come down to a couple of things that, back when we started, when we got our first one, I mean, it did take a lot of hard work to save that first deposit.
Yeah.
Back then, because I was working in the fitness industry and, back in COVID, all of the gyms got shut. And so 2020, so 4 years ago, I was only earning $21 an hour,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
And Mackenzie's, a casual at Bunnings.
Yeah.
So the only way I knew to, possibly how we can even get a deposit together was we moved back in with her mum and dad.
Yeah.
We saved everything. I ended up working about 4 or 5 jobs at different gyms, and we literally saved everything.
Yeah.
Like we were not going out and partying or, so it does come down to, I think, someone's priorities as well, because I think I do see a lot of young people that they do kind of waste
Yeah, absolutely.
those early years when that's really the time when you want to set yourself up and get ahead.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we saved for about a year, or a year, I think maybe 12 to 18 months, working multiple jobs, saving everything. I think, we were very disciplined.
Yeah.
We were able to get, I think, about 120,000 together, which we used on the first property.
Yeah. So where was the first property that you bought?
So the first property we bought was down south.
Yeah.
And honestly, we didn't actually know what we were doing back then. It was just a bit of a guess.
Yeah.
There was no strategy or, analysis or data.
Yeah.
But I think what people don't understand is how to actually use equity.
Yeah.
And how to use the bank's money to actually build your own wealth.
Yeah.
Because I think in the first 12 months, like when we met in Mount Lawley, that was only our second purchase.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to you that, my goal is to get 10 within the first year.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember me
I
saying that.
absolutely remember, yeah.
And I didn't know what, if I could do it. That was just a goal that I had.
Yeah.
And I think when people started seeing that we were purchasing a property almost every month in that first 12 months,
Yeah.
they were probably looking at us thinking, how can they afford to be putting in a 20% deposit every single time? Where are they getting the capital to do that?
Yeah.
But the truth is that most of the time we were just pulling equity from the previous investment
Yeah.
and then using that to fund the subsequent purchase.
Yeah. Yeah. And and that kind of brings me to, I'm a great believer in surrounding myself with experts in the industry. So, I'm 27 years in real estate this year. But I still want to surround myself with, the banks, the valuers, they're kind of the science behind it. A lot of what I do is experience. It's the experience that I've got. But it's really important for me that I make sure that I've got all of these professionals around me and I can listen to their advice and I can take that, on board. And I think that's what's really, really important for investors to do. And I think, if you do that, and I'll just give you an example. I'm just working with 2 young brothers at the moment. They're in their mid-20s. They just bought, probably about a year ago, they bought a property off me in Wembley, 2-bedroom, Herdsman Parade. They paid $230,000 for it.
Oh my God.
Now, would I have purchased that property myself as an investor? Absolutely not. But then what my property goals look like are totally different to two mid-20s, guys working on the mines, they're earning good money, and they want to make sure their money's going into something solid. I then sold them a property in 2nd Avenue, needed a full refurb, just along the road from your one, actually. And again, so now they've just come back to me and they now want to do a refurb and flip it. So there are other ones that they've had as investments with tenants in them. Now they want to do something a little bit different. So, of course, the bank has now gone and valued these two properties that I sold them. And the equity in both is amounting to over 200 grand. So from that, they've been able to now service the third one that they've just bought from me. Now, interestingly, Max gave me a call the other day and was interested in a property in one of the newer buildings in James Street because he's now ready and wants to do the fourth one. And I put him off it. I said, it's not for you. It doesn't work with your plan of what you're trying to achieve. Yes, it's a high yield. Yes, it's a great rent. But we've got high strata fees. The equity sort of value, if we look at it in 12 months' time, I don't believe will be enough for you to continue on the path that, the plan. And they've sort of both fed back and said how incredibly useful they found it to be able to ring me and say, what's your thoughts on this property? So, I'm really keen for people out there, even if you're experienced in real estate and you own property, surround yourself with the people that can give you the advice. And I think that's really key because some of the stuff that you've bought, I know you've made, what did you make on Monmouth? Can you remember what?
I mean, the thing is that even when I think of like a property like that, even though, yes, we have sold it, I actually think what it's made us is far greater than even the sale price.
Yeah.
Because we use that, the equity in there to purchase another property in Mount Lawley.
2nd Ave, yeah.
In 2nd Ave.
Yeah.
So it bought us 2nd Ave as well. We also used it to buy Mackenzie's car. Yeah. The equity.
Yeah.
And that 2nd Ave, also we used that equity to then fund another purchase.
Yeah.
So it's hard to even say it made X because it's actually far greater than just the sale price because everything we did with it was like a leapfrog effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that.
So it definitely did us well.
Yeah. No, that's great. I was just saying to you before, I purchased a property in Doubleview back in April. 1940s, full of asbestos, pretty much falling down. Was tenanted, but definitely not somewhere I could have lived myself. And my brother was here on holiday, and he always kind of rolls his eyes at me. He's like, what's my sister doing now? What has she just comes... Because I just make decisions. I drove past and saw the board, phoned the agent, said, can I just have a quick look? I hadn't even spoke to my broker. I had no pre-approval. I didn't even know what I could afford. And the agent said, we'll get you around like in an hour or whatever, and walked in. And my brother's a builder. So he's walked around the property. He's like, do not buy this, sis. Do not buy this. This is not a great decision. But I know you're not going to listen to me and you will do what you want to do. So I did, and I put an offer in that day. And then I rang my broker and said, I've put an offer in. He's like, what? But I knew whatever happened, whatever I decided to do with that, because I was thinking I might knock the house down, I might build something, I'll keep it tenanted till at least sort of April next year, so there's a year in there. I wasn't really sure, but I knew I would make money on it. And settled in April, and it's just gone under offer to a cash buyer for over 115 grand more than what I paid for it. what that has allowed me to do is actually buy the dream home to live in. So that's the value that I would not have been able to put the offer in on this incredible house that I could only ever dream about owning, really.
Yeah.
It's been the the catalyst
catalyst,
for me
yeah.
to do that.
Even the same, like I actually forgot that when we asked you to sell Monmouth and Second Ave,
Yeah.
that's what allowed us to then go and buy our, beautiful home.
Yeah.
It's still getting built, but, that's what allowed, so it's not just the sale price, it's the equity, it's the future property that we were able to buy, with that.
Yeah.
Obviously now another home with it. So, I mean, it's hard to calculate that.
Yeah,
It would be
100%.
in the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, 100%. So talk to me a little bit more now about your business, because obviously what's transpired from you on this property journey is you sort of going, look, I can help other people. So just, talk to me a little bit about what you do.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously now I'm, working as a buyer's agent, so helping, people or clients to invest. We do mainly, I mainly work with investor clients. And to be honest, I think 18 months, 2 years ago, I didn't even know what a buyer's agent was. I had no, idea about, a buyer's agent or anything about that. It just kind of evolved. I think, a lot of people were seeing what Mackenzie and I were doing, and naturally they were asking us, how have you done, it so fast? How do you know what to buy? How do you know what to look for? And that's kind of obviously when I got the idea to say, okay, maybe we can help people, do what we've done.
Yeah.
So that I think has really now become such a passion of mine is, even like you said, helping young people or people that didn't think they would ever be able to do, invest in property or own, 2, 3, 4 investments. But we can obviously, guide them on that journey and help them reach their goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, I think it's important as well to point out that there are still some people out there that own property and have experience. They still don't make the best decisions, sort of financially. Or I think the other thing as well is the fact that you are experienced in it yourself. I know there are some good buyer agents out there, and unfortunately there's also some not so good ones out there. But I think what's really key here is that you talk the talk, but you walk the walk. And that's one thing I always say to my clients when I'm listing their property for sale. A lot of what they're getting from me is personal experience. I'm not just out there saying I can sell your property and I'll get you this good price on it, but actually I don't own property and I don't invest and I don't put myself in those circles. I absolutely do. So a lot of what I do has a very much a personal element to it.
Yeah.
And I think that is really, really key. How can I trust that you're going to help me make a really good investment decision, Kieren, but you don't own any investment properties? Oh, well,
Red
actually,
flag.
yeah.
Red flag.
Well, actually, I bought 10 properties in 18 months. So, and guess what? I made a few mistakes along the way. So I can point those things out to you. And I think that is just really, really, sort of refreshing.
I mean, I've always, I tell clients all the time that, and, friends even, that whatever you're looking to do, whether your goal is in business or financially or, whether it's property, you need to be getting advice from people that you look at and want to replicate their success.
Yeah.
Because I'm very transparent with clients that I say that I can only show you what we have done personally.
Yeah.
Because I say there are many ways that you can make money in real estate.
Yeah.
You can go down the flipping path. You can go down the renovating. There are many avenues that people could take.
Yeah.
But I'm very open with clients to say that I can only show you what we've done.
Yeah.
And our, process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's also for any investor out there starting out, you have to know your why. You've got to. And there's many different whys. And this is what, when I first met Max and his brother, and I'm sort of chatting to them, and I'm going, so why are we investing in real estate? What is the goal here? Is it because you've got no super? Are we looking at this as a pension down the line? What is the why for you? Because my why was very different. I only moved here 3 years ago. So I don't have any super. I have nothing here. I mean, I'm entitled to my UK pension, but that's nothing. But so for me, my property journey was very much looking like equity. I needed to buy something at a good price that I know that either I sat on it for as long as I needed to sit on it, but I'd make a lot of money, or I sold it to then fund the next. But ultimately, my property goal is pension. So it's very important to sort of ask that question. I think there's a lot of people out there that are, possibly looking to get into into investment, but they don't really know why.
Yeah, I mean, ours was I was so driven by what happened in COVID.
Yeah.
Because I was working in the gym, I now had no income.
Yeah.
For months. So our life was so different back, even 3 years ago. And I've always had crazy goals and dreams.
Yeah.
And especially when Mackenzie and I got together, my why was that I wanted to, it wasn't really ever about money. It was more about freedom. And what, Mackenzie and I often say that, it's not money that makes you happy, but what you can do with the money.
Yeah.
So being able to look after our family, or give to charities, or be generous, or go back to the UK and take your kids there. That, of course, it's not the money that is making you happy, but being able to do those things. So when COVID happened and we had nothing and we had to move back in with her mum and dad, it was I was relentless with saying, no matter what, I'm going to get us out of this trap.
Yeah.
And that's when I was studying investing courses, in the US, and I'd be up till, 2 a.m. every night. I'd start my first job at the first gym at, 5 a.m. So I'd be up at 3:30. Then I'd go to the next job at 9 or 10, work there till 2, have lunch, then go to another gym from 3 till 6. And then I was doing, even PT on the side late at night. So I think as well, it is easy to, like what we said before, that it is a lot easier to actually build a portfolio than what most people think.
Yeah.
But if you are in that, I guess a position where you are struggling or money is tight, unless you get that determination and that discipline to say, and that drive and that motivation, then that's the only way you're going to get out of that.
Yeah.
Because I do see it a lot now. I mean, even in the media, that there's a lot of complaining about the economy and the market. And of course, I understand that, things are tight for a lot of people. But just sitting there and saying, we can't afford a house, well, maybe you're looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Right? Mackenzie and I didn't start out trying to buy a $2 million home.
Yes.
We didn't start out trying to buy a 700,000 4x2, with the beautiful pool in the backyard.
Yeah.
Right? We were buying in, 300,000.
Yeah.
360.
Yeah.
So, and that's what we could afford at the time.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people need to probably align with where they're at now.
Yeah.
And I think it's much better, especially in a rising market like this, if you can only afford to invest in a property that is 450,
Yeah.
do it now.
Yeah.
You know, if you can't afford to buy something that's 800,000,
Yeah.
if you wait, you know, a year and a half to save more or, you know, see what may happen,
Yeah.
by the time that comes, the prices have already jumped again.
Yeah, and you could have that in the equity in the property that
Building,
you buy without
yes.
you even, you know. So, I mean, I'm on my 4th property purchase in 3 years, but I'm still in rented. I rent.
Same.
So, you know, people are like, well, why are you not, you know, buying? Because I don't need to. What I'm doing is buying cleverly.
Yeah.
And then I'm using the equity each time for the next purchase. This current purchase is now my home that I'm going to move into. But I've been renting for 3 years. I've been paying someone else's mortgage for 3 years. And that's also, I think, really important, you know, to point out to people that you don't necessarily have to be buying your something to live in. You know, there's other ways that you can do it. And a lot of people, you know, will say, why are you paying rent? You're paying someone else's mortgage and blah, blah, blah. But that's allowed me to make clever purchases that every single one of them I've made money on or I've pulled equity to do the next one.
I mean, of course, this is my personal opinion, but I 1000% advocate for people to invest first
Yeah.
and then get the dream house after.
Yeah.
Because I see so many people that, especially young people, if they are in a couple or in a relationship, they go to the broker, find out what they can borrow, whether that is 600,000 or 700,000, and they'll max that out on the first purchase.
Yeah.
So now for them to ever go and get a investment property, it does become very hard.
Yeah.
Because they've already maxed out all of that borrowing capacity. All of the debt is tied up in owner-occupied debt. It's not investment debt.
Yeah.
There's no income. There's
Yeah.
no rent. And that's why, you know, 90% of Australians only own 1 or 2 properties.
Yeah, and I think people think the way to do it, and because how it's always been done, buy your home to live in, then do the investment. I disagree. Do it the other way round.
1,000.
You know, and you and Mackenzie are an absolute prime example of that. You know, and I'm living proof that you can do that. But I work in real estate, so you know, I wanted to, you know, to introduce you today because, you know, you've also followed that path of do the investment first. And you've done it walking into a real estate market with no experience, you know, and look what you've created. And I think it's really important for people to hear that because we got to shake it up sometimes in the industry. Just because things may have always been done a certain way doesn't mean to say it works, and it doesn't mean to say it's what you should do going forward. Of course, some things do, you know, work, but I want people to be able to look at real estate from other angles, from other aspects.
And like I said before, there are so many ways that you can do it.
Yeah.
And of course, I can only share what we've done and what's worked for us.
Yeah.
But going back to even like what you just said about, you know, going down not the typical path.
Yeah.
When Mackenzie and I decided to get the first property as an investment and not buy, you know, like the first home buyer or a house and land package or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
We could have done that with the deposit. But I was really questioning, thinking, and this kind of goes back to the COVID thing, saying, do I want to be tied to something for 30 years that I am now liable to pay back? And we were looking, I sat Mackenzie down, and not in a judgmental way, but I just said, look at the people around us, our family, our friends, that own a home and that's it. Because that is the typical Australian dream,
Yeah.
to own the home. But I said to Mackenzie, I said, is this really what we want to strive for? You know, to be tied in one location. And everybody I know that, you know, back then that was, you know, had a mortgage like that, they were, you know, struggling, you know, it was barely getting by, living week to week, living paycheck to paycheck. And to me, that didn't equate to freedom.
Yeah.
Which was 100%. My initial why. And like I said before about when I was, you know, studying and deciding whether we should go down, you know, investing in property or stocks or shares, I started to study wealthy people, people that were extremely successful. And when I would study their life or what they were doing, I saw that, you know, they weren't going out to buy a home. They were either investing in themselves, in their business, or they were investing in something that provided income.
Yeah.
You know? And going back to the thing about renting, there's so many multi-millionaires that rent.
Yeah.
Because they know that, you know, that's the path, right? And that's kind of really what started to, I guess, affect my thinking, of course, affecting it in a good way.
Yeah.
But we were really questioning, thinking, is this, you know, what our mum and dad and our grandparents and our great-grandparents did? Is that what just life is? You know, is that, and I think going back to what I said before, because I've had very ambitious visions. I mean, Mackenzie and her mum and dad probably know more than ever that I almost live in a fantasy land in my mind, because I think most people, their mind is fixated on the past.
Yeah.
You know, whatever's happened to them, or it's all, you know, past thinking.
Yeah.
Where I'm almost totally always in the future.
Yeah.
Envisioning our life and what it could be, and, you know, setting goals that I don't even know whether I can attain, but it's pulling me into that.
Yeah.
Right? Like when I met you and I said, I want to own 10 in 12 months, I probably didn't even believe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was a goal that I had. And even if we, you know, only did 7 or 8 in the first 12 months, okay, I'm still a lot closer to that goal than just saying, I'm going to buy one.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think having, you know, big goals and vision, that is kind of what has propelled us forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, when, you know, obviously when I moved here 3 years ago, my first rental was in Scarborough, and I absolutely love it round there. I love it. But I was also sitting there going, am I ever going to be able to afford really to buy in Scarborough as a single mum, giving most of my money to Qantas so that I could fly home and see my son that's in the UK. But I thought, you know, I've just got to trust the journey. I know being in rented is right for me. You know, my first investment that I bought was in Banksia Grove. I knew that land up there had sold fairly cheaply, and they were still developing it as a suburb, even, you know, from when it was first, you know, being built. And I bought a 3x2 there, less than 10 years old, so I got some good tax offsets on it as well, for $385, you know. And then when I sold that for nearly 200 grand more. But all of a sudden, the dream of being able to buy in Scarborough seemed attainable. I thought, well, if I then reinvest that money into another one, and then I did Double View, you know, and it's propelled now to the point that, you know, I'm purchasing the home that I want to live in Woodlands. It's
I love
not
that
Scarborough,
home, by the way.
but I know it's gorgeous, isn't it?
Invite me over,
yes,
please.
Can I have a cocktail, little housewarming? Of course you'll be.
Okay, good.
So yeah, but it did seem unachievable initially when I first came here. And if you think I literally had to start my life again. My network, absolutely everything. So, it was a challenge. But I would say that to people, reevaluate what you're trying to achieve, and then get advice from people. Come to people like you and Mackenzie. Come to people like me and say, this is the dream, what we want to achieve. What's the best thing to do about that? And let the people that are in industries that have done it actually be able to say to you, well, first of all, don't aim to buy that home to live in now. Let's do investments. Let's use equity. Let's make money that way. Because
100%.
then,
I mean, even like what you said before about, surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
I think when you can surround yourself with people that have done it, whether it's their second, third, fourth, fifth property, and they've done what you're looking to do, then it does make it achievable.
Yeah.
It does seem attainable.
Yeah.
Because even now, like a lot of our circles and friends have obviously changed. We of course have the same friends, but we do, now meet a lot of people who are extremely wealthy.
Yeah.
But when I'm around them and I hear what they are doing and what they've done and where they came from, that to me is so inspiring.
Yeah.
Because if I know that someone else has done it and I'm looking at them thinking, you're not, like there's nothing different between you and I.
Yeah.
It's just the actions that you've taken to get you to that point.
Yes.
And I think even now, that's what Mackenzie and I, of course, I hope that's what we can be to people, is an example that you can come from, very humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Like if I had that pay slip from 3 years ago when I was earning $21 an hour.
Yeah.
And in, a matter of years, we've turned that into, an extremely blessed life that is so far beyond anything I could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
And I'm no different to anyone.
Yeah.
We didn't have, mum and dad giving us, 100,000 on a deposit. We weren't a CEO of BP and had massive income.
Yeah.
Of course, so mum and dad let us live rent-free,
Yeah.
which obviously helped, and they supported us in that way. But, we didn't come from, money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, like for me, from my point of view as a real estate agent as well, I think buyers think that, real estate agents just care about sellers because, sellers pay the bill. So
I
we
started
know that.
as a buyer and you cared about me.
Yeah, exactly, and I do. And
We
that's
became
the thing.
such good friends.
Yeah, I do think there are a lot of agents out there that don't give time to buyers, but I'm always really keen for buyers to talk to me on a home open and tell me, what you're looking for, what you're trying to do. Like, I have absolutely loved this journey with Max and his brother so far. Like, absolutely love it. So we're now on our third property. He's already texted me this week and said, I've spoke to the broker. We're going to be looking to do the fourth. What do you think about this property? And I absolutely love being involved in that. And I want buyers to come and say, like, where do we start? Help us out. And for me to be able to say, well, first off, let me put you in touch with Kieren. These are the people I surround myself with, and come into our network. Come in and let us be part of your journey too. And I absolutely love that. And that's really nice to hear you say that as well, because I felt
Of
like
course.
we connected that,
Well, you're coming to our wedding, so we must be close.
I know. So, yeah. So I think, I really just wanted to kind of share that with people today, because I think your story is incredibly inspiring. And as I say, I'm very much for people who talk the talk, but they walk the walk, because there's a lot of people that don't. They talk a good game, but they're not really doing what they're talking, in the background. And you absolutely are. And I just think it's really, and especially in the market that we're in, I feel like there are a lot of people out there that are very downtrodden. They just feel like they can't get on the ladder. Prices are going up. will we ever be able to buy, and a lot of them just sort of saying it's really depressing. Well, it's actually not. And there's ways to do things and come into our circle, into our network, and we can 100% help you with that.
I mean, like to that point, especially like I've been working with quite a few first home buyers the last couple of months. And, when you're looking in that, 400 to 450K price point, and you're a first home buyer, you only need a 5% deposit.
Yeah.
So on a $400,000 dollar purchase, you only need 20K. You're not going to pay any LMI.
Yeah.
There's no lender's mortgage insurance. You're going to have the stamp duty completely waived, if it's, under 450.
Yeah.
So, you can get started for 25K.
Yeah.
If you are willing to look at, investing and buying that kind of asset.
Yeah.
I think why people get discouraged is, to my point before, they wanting to go out and get the 4x2 with the pool
Yeah.
as the first thing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, anyone would be sad because it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. And then it becomes almost a negative journey. So, no, you're absolutely right. And I was in that position when I first came out here, exactly that, where I needed, I bought that initial house in Banksia, and I think I was less than 20 grand that I actually had to put down.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
I do recall as well, after buying that, things were pretty tough financially for a bit, because I'd basically every penny I had went into that house, and at the time the rents weren't like what the rents are now. So and I remember taking a calculator to Woolies once, because I had $23 in the account.
Wow.
And I had to get packed lunch for my son, and I had to get dinners for the week. And I remember having a calculator in Woolies so that I didn't get to the till and overspend.
Wow.
And then, fast forward 3.5 years, and I'm speaking to my broker a couple of weeks ago, and I'm saying, what can I afford? And he's saying, he literally said, whatever you want. I said, what do you mean, whatever? He said, literally whatever you want, pretty much. Because of the sound property decisions that I've made, that was quite a sobering moment for him to sort of say
amazing.
that. And then to think, 3.5 years ago, I'm literally going around Woolies, getting Woolies' own fries out the freezer, because I was just like, they're only $3, and, and doing the calculator. So, and the massive thing that comes from that, you're absolutely right. It isn't the wealth, it's the freedom.
Freedom.
It's given me the freedom to actually dream, go and look at a house and go, this would be my dream house. I can actually afford it. It is the freedom. It's not the having the money in the bank, because I actually don't really have a lot of money in the bank at all.
No.
Hardly any, to be fair, but it's about, so that's really important. But so I think yours and Mackenzie's story is really inspiring, and I know we're going to work together for years doing stuff around property. I just know we will. So I'm really really happy for you guys.
Thank you.
And seeing
Thank you for helping us in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it 2022 or 21?
21.
21.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So that was my first listing.
See, I didn't even know that until a couple of weeks ago. A couple of months ago when you told me, and I was like, what?
So that was my very first listing as a real estate agent in Perth.
My God.
Yeah, so sold that to you and then resold it for you, and then all of the bits that have happened, in between. Because genuinely, we've generated a friendship through it as well.
Well, I know that. I think when we met, I'm very big, and Mackenzie, about who we work with.
Yeah.
So even other agents, we'd gone, especially because we were just starting out in the beginning, we'd go to these open homes, and of course we were serious investors. You know,
Yeah.
we had those goals. But I think, you know, agents can treat you not the best.
No, 100%.
And even there were deals that we absolutely loved. Absolutely loved. The like the price, the rent, everything. Amazing. But because of the agent, I wouldn't do it. Because I did not want to be yoked with that. And I didn't want to be in an agreement with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I knew that, you know, when we met, I mean, Mackenzie, I think, just loved your style, first off. You know, the look, and you were so kind and friendly. And I mean, we could feel that you genuinely cared about us.
Yeah.
And that's obviously why we bought, you know, other properties from you, and then, you know, sold with you as well.
Yeah, I know. And I say this to sellers all the time, you know, when they're selling a property, yes, go and get 3 agents to come round. Do your comparisons on what they charge and do your comparisons on what they've sold. You know, do all of that standard stuff. But I'm a firm believer in energy. And I know for a fact people have bought property from me because of my energy and trust. And you know, you've got to factor that in. And exactly like you're saying, you've walked away from property because you don't like the agent, or you don't, you know, like their energy, or you don't trust it. So, you know, just as important it is for your real estate agent to have industry experience and that the figures work for you, it is also really important for how you connect with them as well.
Definitely.
On the day. And you know, and I've gone on to then help buyers that haven't been successful in putting an offer in on a certain property, and then I've managed to sell them something else, and I've sold them something else off market usually, because I've rung up a seller that was considering selling, and I've said, I know these people will want this property and they'll buy it for the price that you know, want to do. And so, you know, we were talking about the universe earlier, you know, and I'm a great believer in that. I practice gratitude literally every single day. And I think, you know, I that energy is always around me, and I think that's another part of my success. And I'm a great believer in network as well. Always wanting to meet new people, always trying to get feedback from other people that are in the industry. I talk regularly to brokers and banks and valuers and all stuff like that. I'm always really, really keen to keep educating myself, which, you know, again, some people might say, well, you've been doing it 27 years. Well, I still think there's stuff I can learn.
Definitely.
And I still want to learn, you know. So I think
Because there's always another level.
Yeah.
You know, there's always, if your goals or, you know, have just stopped and the ambition has stopped, then, you know, really it's like, to me, it's like you're dying.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like if I didn't have goals that were like a stretch and a push for me, I don't know what I'd be doing every day.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
If I just sat back and, you know, that's it.
Yeah. So what are the next sort of 12 months looking like then for you and Mackenzie? Obviously, we're getting married.
Yes.
Well, you're getting married, I'm not getting married. Which, really excited about that. That's going to be an amazing wedding in December the 6th.
6th.
Yeah. Okay.
Is today 4 weeks today?
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, absolutely. So, so what have you, obviously you're building, so when is that likely to be?
27.
Okay.
Yeah, so a while away. So I think our goals now probably have shifted a little bit, where because we've done the sacrificing, the investing, now we are wanting to kind of be buying things for us.
Yeah.
And it is more for that, I guess, pleasure side rather than investment focused.
Yeah.
You know, which is why we're buying an apartment in Kieren, which is getting built, which is stunning. We are looking at getting one in City Beach, a penthouse there on the water. So, but they're not, you know, for investments.
Yeah.
I think we will keep investing.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be in more, probably like the luxury properties
Yeah.
that we can have as a holiday
Yeah.
home or weekend getaway. Or
I've got that
for us.
penthouse in Hay Street, 3.5 mil.
Yes.
So your goals and everything, it's sort of that's changed,
And now the goal more so is to help others.
Yeah.
So because I think we've reached that, of course, like I said, we still want to keep achieving and succeeding, but our goals really now, I would say, are more on the clients.
Yeah.
And I want to see them win.
Yeah, and you're able to do this now for the love of doing it because you've achieved that freedom through the path that you've taken, that you can now, bring it back to you actually doing it for the love of doing it to educate other people. And there's something really amazing about that.
Well, I always found that when Mackenzie and I started, I always viewed very successful people as being almost like hidden, right? In the Wizard of Oz, how there's, like the wizards behind and pulling the strings. And I always found successful people were very secret about, what they'd done. And it was like there was a divide between them. And I think Mackenzie and I now, we try to be as transparent and as open as possible with anyone, because we always found that, we couldn't get in or, talk to anyone that was, reached a certain point.
Yeah.
And that's obviously what we try to do with the clients now and, anyone, just be...
And I think there's a lot of people out there, and especially if people are young, with no experience around property, that think that people like us aren't available to them. And we absolutely are, and I think there's a lot of people that will think, how do I get myself into a network like that? And I would say to people that, literally you pick up the phone, because we want to do this. We actually want to be part of it. We get a kick out of seeing the end result, for you. And I massively do. When Max rings and says, right, come on, I'm ready to do my fourth one, I'm buzzing just as much as he.
You feel like you're doing it.
I know.
I know.
It's so weird. It's just, it's almost like, that's how I feel when my children achieve those things. It's that.
And you need to be around people like that.
Yeah.
Because in life, there are so many people that do want to bring you down.
Yeah.
Right? When you're a top agent or, whatever, there are going to be people that are jealous.
Yeah.
There are going to be people that then turn to you and don't want to see you win.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're at the top. And you need to be with people that want to genuinely see you win.
Yeah.
And lift you up, because, that's something I struggle to even see why people are jealous or, hate or envious, because I think you can reach heightened levels of success together.
Yeah.
Like you and I, we're not even though you're, working on behalf of the seller and I'm working on behalf of the buyer, we're not in competition with each other.
No, not at
We're
all.
not enemies.
No.
Right? I'm not looking at you and thinking, oh my God, and, we're not trying to compete.
Yeah.
We're trying to support each other to reach a heightened level of success.
Yeah, absolutely. Which works for the seller and works for
the buyer.
And we're good at it. We do it, So blow our own trumpets.
We're the best.
There. We are, though. We are. I think you're absolutely right with that, 100%. Yeah. I think that's it, love. I think we'll wrap it up. And I'm really excited to stay sort of in touch with you and see what else you and Mackenzie are going to achieve. You're on speed dial every time I take a property on that I think you'll like or you'll know someone always. I say, Kieren, come and have a look at this one, don't I? So we speak regular anyway. But yeah, wishing you so much success with your stuff going forward. You deserve it. You've worked really hard, really, really hard
Thank
to
you.
get where you've got.
And likewise, I'm so happy to see, what you're doing, and
Yeah.
even with the house that you've bought, it's amazing. I mean, hearing about, when you were going into the shop
Yeah,
and, looking at
yeah,
the calculator
yeah.
and now taking, being there for your kids and being able to do that thing, it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we will continue, you and I and Mackenzie, on the path that we're on and help some more people.
Definitely.
Yeah, lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kieren.